What's up, everybody? Welcome to the MIRE. Keith Glock, Matt Pogue. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What a day. First day back in school as we're getting ready now after a very interesting first day back. I was going to say face-to-face, but it's a little bit more mask-to-mask.
Almost saw face. I almost saw face today.
Every once in a while, I ran around and I was like, I do have a face, guys. We're getting set for Montgomery football on the Mire. Hurricanes be damned. 1 week postponed from our originally scheduled start against Watchung Hills, which it seems like the Fates really don't want us to play Watchung Hills, and I'll ask Coach Milich about that in a couple of minutes. But that obviously aside, the carnage, I don't really know that there was a better word for it. They kind of caught everybody off guard last week. I think postponing a football game was probably the furthest thing on everybody's mind last week. But nonetheless, we're trying to get back in all aspects of our educational and athletic lives into at least a teeny little bit of normalcy. So tonight we do that again. We are remote here from whatever you want to call this, Battleground Station 1 in Lawrenceville in my good old basement here as we broadcast remotely. As Linden High School has generously offered their stream to us that we can piggyback off of, which we'll probably attempt to do as much as we can because, quite honestly, it makes things pretty easy.
Way better to be here. I got to say that. As much as I want to be at the game, it's nice to know that, it's comfortable.
Being back in school today, though, all joking aside, really was, I think for all of us in the education world, just a welcome return of, it not being just an absolute ghost town, around school.
There was life in the building. There were kids. I think they were smiling. I'm pretty sure somewhere. And, just seeing them with their friends and at lunch, and we needed that. We needed that bad.
I agree. The biggest thing to me, and I know this is fascinating for everybody out there if you don't go to Montgomery High School, but if you do, and you were in last year in the springtime and you actually came back in person, being in study hall was the weirdest thing in the world for me because study hall is a pretty, jovial atmosphere typically. Kids are sitting around talking to each other. And last year it was like everybody was at a desk, like no one was speaking to each other. It was complete silence. And I would just run in there and be like, what's up? Because I was trying to lighten the mood a little bit. And today in study hall felt a little more like back to normal with people actually interacting with each other. So I think we're getting there.
Yeah, there was a hum that used to never be there. Instead, it was fluorescent light hum. We had kids actually talking and laughing. That was great.
No doubt about it. We are going to take a quick commercial, but let me give you a rundown. We'll bring that interview to you. Then we'll come back, and Matt and I will give you a couple of minutes on what you can expect from this Cougar team, and all of that will happen before kickoff, coming up at 7 p.m. from Linden. We're in Lawrenceville. We're just fired up to bring you Montgomery football on the Mire. Don't go anywhere. The head coach of your Montgomery Cougars is coming up in just a couple of minutes. You're caught in the Mire. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the MIRE pregame show as we are getting set for high school football for the first time, we hope, in 2021 against Linden High School. I'm Keith Glock, joined by the head coach of the Montgomery Cougars, Zoran Milic. Coach Milic, it is good to see your face. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back. Great to be talking to you about football again.
Well, great to be back. After, if we didn't think things could get any crazier, it seems like the football gods really had it in for you guys playing Watchung Hills over the last calendar year, because you're supposed to open the season last year right against them, supposed to close the season last year, lost both those games to COVID. Then, all right, no problem. We'll get it kicked off week 1 against them this year. Nope. Hurricane Ida, here we come. Just seems like this game might be a little bit cursed against Watchung.
It certainly seems that way, that for whatever reason, circumstances outside of our control are not letting us play that game. We're hoping maybe we can play them at the end of the season, but again, we lost another game with them.
The circumstances surrounding Ida, I mean, I know that, based on your own personal geography, you were dealing with things just as much as anybody else. The last year, I mean, just the number of very serious issues that we've had to deal with, as a society, and now as a, locally as a community, to pile this on top. There was a thought that I had that, all of the COVID restrictions and tumult that everybody went through in the last year, in some backwards way, did that kind of almost prepare us for what the communities had to deal with in the last week?
It's interesting. When our game was canceled due to the storm, it was kind of like, all right, here we go again. And I think last year taught us we're a lot more resilient than we think we are. And so once we realized we couldn't play, we were actually off for 6 days. We physically could not get together for 6 days. 2 of the days we used, Zoom meetings to go over film and get ready for Linden. But, it was just the idea of nobody was really in shock. Hey, this is the circumstances. This is our reality, and we have to deal with it. No sense of crying about it. We try to make it work. It didn't work to get the makeup with Watchung Hills because we weren't allowed to get into school till Tuesday. So I agree with your assessment. I think last year a lot of things happened that normally never would have in football. Guys were picking up games with 1 day preparation, which you would never do. And they were able to prepare and play a game. And some, a lot of cases, somebody had to win those games. So I think things that coaches were so worried about of not being prepared in the past, that were almost like taboo. Weren't allowed to practice in the summer, and things were still okay. I think guys learned how to practice more efficiently, if you will. It's not, hey, we got to be there every day in the summer and take the kids' summer up. It's, we can get stuff done in a small period of time. And, we had to be a little bit more creative last year. And having done that, I just think everybody, no one panics now. It's like, okay, this happened. We've dealt with worse. We'll get through this. And here's how we're going to handle it.
Well, this interview is just a microcosm of that. Last year, if I said to you, Zorn, listen, we're going to use this thing, it's called Zoom, you'd have been like, get out of here. I'm just coming down to sit in your office. So anyway, right. New normal for everybody.
Yes.
As you flip forward into this season, a lot of newness on your team in terms of the number of returning starters is quite small. So therefore a lot of new moving pieces for you guys. Was it 4 returning offensive starters and 3 returning defense? I knew it was 7 total. I think.
Yeah, it was 3 on offense and 4 on defense.
Yeah. So, I mean, how has just been navigating that situation for you guys?
We've been in this situation before. That's the cool thing about high school football. Each team, each year, it's a brand new team. We have a lot of people who've been waiting for, almost 4 years to get a chance to play. We have a lot of juniors. Our juniors really have worked hard in the offseason. So a lot of them are either starting or they're in the 2 deep. It's a pretty impressive class with regard to kids who really kind of focus on football. So that's the challenge. That's the thing that draws me to high school football is, we don't have free agents. We don't sign anybody to a contract. Certain guys are gone. And, after each year you lose a bunch. Fortunately for us, we got a couple guys that have been, Alex Benitez, a 4-year starter, seems like he's been here every year. Brandon Fury, a 3-year starter, Sumilon and McDaniel and Jenkins, they're going to go into their second, almost 2.5 years of starters for us. So, having said that, we have some guys who've been here for a while, so they seem like there are, guys that have been signed to long-term deals, if you will, but we have a lot of new free agents this year. And that's the excitement about it is it's a different team. Who are going to be the leaders, who emerges, what person that nobody knows of right now, like outside of our team, steps up and all of a sudden becomes an all-conference player, right? Things of that nature. So that's the exciting and challenging thing about high school football. It's different every year.
Listen, the last time I asked you that question, you told me, that some guy named Tyler Young might be pretty good. And then he has like 62 touchdowns. So you never know. Coming out of nowhere is certainly in our bag. You talked about a lot of the names that I wanted to touch on a little bit. Let's talk about what I think is going to be one of the strengths of your team, and that's the defensive line. You mentioned, just the resilience, that our kids have had to form, and coaches as well over the last year. Football is pretty unforgiving that way, right? I mean, especially along the lines. It can be a pretty glaring thing if you are not resilient on both of those sides of the line, either because you're getting blown up or you're blowing somebody up. Brandon Fury is going to go, end up playing nose tackle for you. In addition to obviously what we know he does on the offensive line, Suleiman's going to end up playing a little bit both directions there. Talk about your defensive line, why you think it's going to be such a strength for you.
Well, in most cases, you have Suleiman and Jalen McDaniel, who really are like 3-year starters. Okay.
Sure. And Jalen, I didn't even mention Jalen. Yeah. Coming off the end.
I'm sorry, Jalen McDaniel. So him and Andre are the ends in our 3-3 system. And then, adding Brandon, who's been a 3-year starter and listed as one, top 75 players in the state at number 61 as a center, is a very, very good nose guard. Much better than, I thought he would be, having really not playing defense pretty much for 2 years. They had a great preseason. They were the most dominant part of our, unit of our defense and just on our team as a whole. And part of that reason is you got guys who have 3 years of starting experience in each one of them. So they know what varsity is all about. They've been in a system now for 3 years defensively. They know exactly how to play it. And so from that standpoint, they're going to lead the team on the defensive side.
Last year, Alex Benitez thrust into a position, out of his control after a one play in the first game of the season, right? I mean, and it ends up being a situation where he plays, I think, probably above and beyond any expectation you could have had for him at that position, at least. And now he'll enter, as a senior, again, playing quarterback. And all summer long, from what I can tell, we used mostly his arm, right? And didn't really unleash him, in terms of on the ground in that 7-on-7 work, because it's not really what the point of it is. Where have you seen him come as a quarterback in terms of being able to throw the football, not only down the field, which we know he can do because he has a great arm, but in those intermediate areas?
Yeah, that's his biggest improvement. I think number one, he knows the offense now. Before he could throw the deep one, it was the shorter routes, the intermediate routes, because you got to really know the offense. You got to know every person's route, your reads. And that was kind of tough to do when you get thrust into the situation that he was thrust into. So we try to make things rather simple for him. Now he has practiced those throws all, in the off season, all the way through the summer. And so now he can throw those outs. He can throw those hitches, the slants, and, and he knows, he expects certain things to be open. So he's much, much better in regard to being a passing quarterback than he was a year ago. Not because he physically couldn't do it. It was just learning the offense. And now he knows it like the back of his hand. So before he was a running back, he was really concerned with his aspect of the game. Now he knows what everybody's doing, who's picking up the blitzes, who's hot, his hot reads. So a year ago, there was no way he was doing that because we just didn't have time to prepare him. But this year he's miles ahead of where he was a year ago.
Now, obviously, we alluded to the fact that he was a running back. So that is to say, if those mid-range throws are not there, one of his, most, I guess his brightest attributes are the wheels. And, he is certainly dangerous in a multifaceted way. What does his ability to both throw the ball and run the ball when things break down, what does that do for an offense?
Yeah, I think last year we had a veteran offensive line. They were big and, we're not as big this year. We had to, move some people around. So like last year, we were able to run the ball where we weren't hitting those intermediary passes. So this year, I think the key to help our run game and allow our offensive line to block better, we have to like throw to set up the run to an extent. Those, intermediate passes, the short game, in a lot of ways can make up for the running game. And if you're dropping people off to take care of that, well, now you're giving him some, he can run at any given time. If he sees everybody covered, he does have that threat to break it, out of the pocket. And now you're dealing with the running back out in the open as opposed to a quarterback.
Sure. Wanting to talk a little bit about one of my favorite players on your team, Mark Jenkins, just because I'd said this to Brandon Fury when we had done our first Muck and Mire podcast about a week and a half ago. I said, through the years of broadcasting and covering high school football, either through the newspaper or just doing stuff with the Mire, I said, when kids are underclassmen and I find myself saying their name a lot on the radio, like sure as the day is long, by the time that kid gets to be a senior, like they just become one of the biggest playmakers on the team. I just feel like I have been saying Mark Jenkins' name because he's around the football all the time. What is he going to bring to maybe out of the slot and in terms of being a weapon for you from a receiving aspect?
Well, Mark, he's a veteran. Number one, he's not going to drop the ball. He's the go-to guy right now this year on the offense when we start throwing the ball around. The tone is set with him. As he goes, our offense will go from a passing perspective. Defensively, we're moving him from corner where he was there for 2 years. We're moving him to free safety. He's got more responsibility there. He's making more calls. So Mark has always been an excellent player, fearless player. Wasn't the most vocal guy. Now we've put him in a position to be vocal. And so you get to see that growth in him, senior year. Now you're calling stuff in the secondary as opposed to echoing it, meaning the safety calls and you echo it back, to make sure the call. And so now he kind of starts the whole thing. He's been a security blanket for us, especially in the punt game. He's a tremendous punt returner. So with Mark, we know we can play him anywhere. He doesn't shy away from anything. He's not a kid who, we'll have sometimes kids will like, I really don't know that. Mark won't know it, but he'll just go in there and he'll still do it. So his fearlessness as far as like, I'm here to play, let whatever happens. And I think a lot of our kids feed off of him and they look to him because there is no fear in him from a defensive standpoint. And off, he'll go across the middle. He'll tackle a big running back in the open field. He really is, for us, he's a key on defense. And this year, offensively, obviously, we've had some good receivers in the past. Mark now becomes that marquee receiver for us.
I apologize with this one because we didn't talk about this off the air before we got on. So if something doesn't come to you right, maybe we'll stash it and lead off with it next week if this one's too tough off the top of your head. But you mentioned something earlier that I just think is really, really interesting about, things that we never would have done previously that now we're doing. For you personally, what would you say there was something, or if it's a couple of things, that's even better, that like, oh my gosh, I never thought I would be doing when it comes to how you're running the team. What, just like, I'm always interested in the veteran coaches that have all this wealth of knowledge that for whatever reason are now expanding from how they were doing things into maybe new ways of doing things. Because I think, in my personal opinion, when you add those two things together and you have the quote unquote old dog who's now using all that knowledge with some new tricks, I'm fascinated by that concept.
I could probably tell you maybe we were ahead of the curve. We've taken a lot of the summer out for these kids. Always felt like I wanted the kids to enjoy the summer. I want kids to play multiple sports. So we weren't that team that we're there at 7:00 in the morning. Some people were putting helmets and shoulder pads on. And, for me, I felt like, we're really not a football school. We're an academic school. We have good athletics, but I wanted the kids to enjoy summer. I wanted them to play the other sports if they needed a summer job. So we set up our summer differently than most others. And I think most others were forced to kind of do it. And just talking to some other veteran coaches, they were like, you know what, we were doing too much before. It really, it wasn't going to make a difference. And my philosophy has always been, unless you actually take the linemen and put them in helmets and shoulder pads, practicing, for us every day of the summer, right? They're really not going to get better, unless you're practicing your technique and you're hitting, we're not hitting, and we don't want them taking too many hits. I just felt like that was kind of like wasting time. Yes, you can learn the plays, but these plays aren't like, mathematical equations, right? Like it's not that hard. I mean, you just got to study the playbook just like anything else. It doesn't take that long. Yes, repetition, you'll get better. And we can do our stance and starts and we do all that. But to me, it really doesn't become football till the helmet and shoulder pads go on. And now we start blocking, right? And we start talking technique and how we block. And you could do that beforehand, but it's not really football because a lot of guys, Keith, look great out of pads. We're like, well, that kid looks like an All-American. You put the pads on, and that kid he's not as aggressive. The kid who didn't seem as aggressive, it didn't stand out in 7-on-7s. Now you put the pads on him. Oh, he comes up on a run in the scrimmage and woof, it makes a nice hit. And so to me, till you get to that point, it's not real football to me. And I think a lot of guys did a ton, of things where they're like, hey, you know what? Maybe we can keep our kids fresher during the season so they're not burnt out. Like for some people, June would start and really football season started and they didn't really have much of a summer. And then, as the season goes on, you start seeing at the end of October, these kids are burnt out. We've been doing it for years, probably going back to 2014 or 2013, where we changed our summer up. And we felt like the kids were always fresh. We installed the offense and defense, the base of it, in 2 days at the end of June. Kids could get together. We had voluntary practices. We want them lifting, obviously, the training portion. But you know what? If you have a kid who's conscientious, he can train just as hard at it. If he's got a beach house, he can go down to Gold's Gym if he has a membership, right? Our strength coach puts it up on Google Classroom. They can get the workouts. I felt like we've always tried to do the most without using the most amount of time. And I didn't really see it affect us on a football field. If we lost, it was because somebody was a lot better than us, not because they out-schemed us or anything like that. And I've kind of, same thing. If we win, it's a lot of times because we're better than the other team, not because we out-scheme the other coach, or coaches are too good now, and staffs are very good. So I think what happened with that, I was kind of proud of, was more people kind of started rolling back our way and had veteran coaches saying, and guys who've won a lot of state titles. And they're like, you know what? Really didn't need to do all that. It's tiring for us as coaches. We're taking a lot of time from the kids. So you could still accomplish a lot. But I think people got, they budget their time better. I always remember Joe Paterno, like one of my first young coaching clinics. He's like, if you're not organized, you're wasting people's time. And I've always felt like we've been super organized, and, the way we conducted the calendar, and we try to give our kids as much time to be kids, to play other sports. Because a lot of times if we're overlapping with sports and all of a sudden I tell the lacrosse kids or the baseball kids, hey, if you're not here, you're not playing. Well, I'm losing some pretty good players potentially that are going to help me.
Right.
So I think we started seeing a lot of guys kind of scaling back a little bit and hoping for fresher legs. And just, when football rolls around, I want them that August 9th. Guys are excited to finally play. Not like, we've been at this for a month and a half already, or almost 2 months. And, now we're going to put the equipment on. I want, to me, it's like, here comes football season and we're excited to go. I think that has a lot more benefits of, practicing every morning, early, first thing in the morning. And I think you got to cut back at a certain point. And I think a lot of guys figured that out. And, and I think they kept it this summer, and some are off to great starts. So.
Oh, that's great to hear. So finish this sentence for me, and then I'll let you go because I know your time is precious. This team in 2021 will be successful if
we can control the line of scrimmage on offense, plain and simple. Starts with the offensive line.
Listen, you could say that, that works that way for pretty much all levels of football, right? If the offensive line can't block, doesn't matter who your quarterback is or who your running back is, because he's not going to have that much success. Let's face it.
You're right. So, but with 4 new offensive linemen,
right.
We replaced basically everybody except for Brandon. It rings a little bit louder this year.
Also helps though when you have that big guy in the middle snapping the football. Where I joked with him. I said, "Listen, every time I open the internet, I got a best of this and a best of that, and Brandon Furier's name is near the top of it. So that's got to be pretty comforting, at least." Yeah,
he makes all the calls on the offensive line. That veteran leadership that he brings and the toughness that he brings mentally and physically. You can't teach that. To be a leader, you have to go out there and perform. And Brandon's definitely a leader because he can perform out there.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We wish you all the best of luck in the world tonight against Linden. And we look forward to doing a lot more of this.
Thank you, Keith. It's great to be back.
Oh, you said it. We are coming up for heading for kickoff coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Montgomery football is back on the MIRE. You are caught in the MIRE. This is the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the MIRE. Keith Glock and Matt Pogue live from Command Center MIRE, whatever you want to call us here in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, as we're getting set for football against Linden. Matt, I just want to take 2 seconds to talk about players to watch here in 2021. First player, obviously, we're going to talk about him as he comes up here on the all-time scoring record in, Montgomery history. Alex Benitez, the quarterback, a dual threat. We've been told he's, from Coach Millich just now that he's, added that intermediate passing game to what we know is a great deep ball and, certainly very talented with his legs. What are you expecting from Benitez this year?
I mean, I think it's going to be a great season. I know he was, thrown into a role last year, and I think the fact that now this is not new, it's going to be incredible. He knows what he's doing. He understands the offense, and he's going to be a leader that can kind of say, like, yeah, we have change. It happens all the time, and we're going to deal with it.
The other guy we got to talk about, right? I mean, we would not be doing our own homerish, self-serving job if we didn't talk about our boy Brandon Fury, one of the top 10 offensive linemen in the state of New Jersey. He'll be hiking the ball, and he's actually moving over to the defensive side of the ball and playing a little nose tackle as well. I think his presence, just from a veteran perspective, on both sides of the ball is one thing. But have you seen him since we've been back?
If I was a center, no thanks. No thanks.
Or if I was a nose tackle, no thanks.
Also, no thanks. Yeah, he is.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't skip any weight room sessions this summer.
No. I mean, he's a gentle giant. We all know that. But on the football field, that's a different story. And
it's not a guy you want to try to move there at all. So it looks like we're getting set to go here at Linden. So you can probably take us over to that, Pogue. I think we'll be good to go. And hopefully our sound is okay, because obviously we are. Kind of bound by the constraints of whatever we get from the feed at Linden. But we do thank them, obviously, for their hospitality in loaning the stream to us. So that would be a good thing.
Makes our lives a lot easier.
Hopefully we get some crowd noise, at least a little bit of that, going on. That would also be a good thing. We'll see kind of how that parses his way out as the captains are out for the coin toss. We mentioned, a couple of the guys that we're, really looking at in Benitez and Brandon Fury, but there's a couple of X factors that I'm really interested in seeing how they do, and that's Andre Sumalan and Jalen McDaniel. Andre, is playing a little bit more offensive line this year, a spot that he hasn't played. But Brandon just kind of reassured me that everything will be fine there. Don't worry. He's a big boy, and we're going to be okay. But I think defensively, Sumalan and McDaniel coming off the edges, that could be just a terror
There's definitely a different attitude with this team too. I had a chance to see Andre in the parking lot on the way out today, and he waved and said, "Hey, how's it going, Mr. Pogue?" And I looked at his hand, and he's got a cast on. And I just looked, and he just goes, "Oh no, I'm good. Don't worry." I was just said, "All right, man. I'll see you later."
I can honestly tell you that never, when I've been wearing a cast, have I been good. It's just not a thing. Nothing that we've really checked out. See if you want to check that volume over there, Pogue. We'll just do a little quick output check. Make sure we're not blowing anybody's eardrums out before we get things rolling here as we're awaiting the opening kickoff from Linden. Really excited to be with you as we kick off the Montgomery football season. Pogue, you said Linden had played a game previous to this, correct?
Yeah, they won. Don't ask me for the team name because now I'm going to draw a
So
blank.
you're killing me right now.
Well, you set me
you're
up and
killing
I
me, Smalls.
knocked it right over.
Oh my goodness gracious! While I, do the thing
What,
right now.
My job?
Yep, a little bit of that.
All right.
Talk to me about guys that you're interested in and watching as we're getting set here for the national anthem. Do we have crowd volume from them, or is this entirely us?
So far, it was us. I did not hear anything else.
Okay, that's fine. So I just would feel badly if we were speaking over the national anthem, obviously in light of the fact that tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of September 11th.
Maybe we play it safe and give it a second.
We can do that. No, it doesn't look like we have any crowd noise, whether that's artificial or otherwise, here at all, right?
No, we have artificial.
There's just a little teeny bit artificial. Okay, so it looks like we do have the national anthem, and what a there's a since we can't hear the anthem and we know what's going on, I guess kind of behooves us to speak about it a little bit. A fantastic documentary on Netflix on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. We were watching it the other night, and just like it was 12:30 in the morning, and I said, we have to turn this off. We can't start another episode because I'm not going to stop. For the folks, obviously the kids in high school were not either born or aware. Well, certainly not born, right? It's a thing we're educating on now. But for those of us who were like in college, or and obviously for other folks that were even a little bit older than that, it's to call it an emotional revisiting of everything is just, it doesn't do it justice. So I liken it to Pearl Harbor Day, I assume, for my parents, and as they tried to explain things to me when I was younger, and it was just different for them. This is how that lands for me.
Yeah, it's just one of those tragic.
Linden victory. Looks like quarterback Taquan Thomas scored on the ground. Adrian Cuervo had a couple of touchdown runs, and then it looked like they were piling it on in the second half. Eddie Charles and Brandon Van Allen scored for the Tigers, so a relatively easy victory in week one. They attempted, this should really tell you all you really need to know. They attempted 4 passes in the game, and they were 4 for 4 for 76 yards. Other than that, they ran the ball 41 times. So,
Wow.
yeah, and I think that's probably more of a function of, maybe a team being a bit overmatched than anything else. But that's going to come with the territory, I suppose.
It's not showing much of your hand, though. To only throw the ball 4 times, you might have a weapon that other teams don't know about yet.
Yeah. Eddie Charles and Ibn Nadir are back deep to receive it for Linden as we get set for the opening kickoff of high school football for Montgomery here in 2021. And foot to ball, and here we go, underway at Linden. And that ball is going to be fielded just in the end zone by Nadir, and because of that, it's an automatic touchback in high school football. So Linden will begin without a chance to run it out, although it looked like Nadir really wanted to bring that out.
Yeah, there was a stop sign up, but he kind of wanted to pretend he didn't see it.
He was very upset. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Tigers from their own 20-yard line. Quarterback, as we mentioned, is Taquan Thomas. He's just a sophomore, more of a scat back. posing as a quarterback, 5'11", 155 pounds. And again, he just attempted 3 passes last week, so I don't really know what to make of that.
He's got a fresh arm.
Yeah,
Real fresh arm.
He does, but ran the ball 8 times for 80 yards last week. And he will keep it on the ground off the right side to begin things. And he is going to be out of bounds, it looks like, after a healthy gain.
Yeah,
And
he's definitely got good vision because he was patient. As much as he wanted to get to the outside, he took a second to see what was there.
this is our first kind of foray into one of these huddle cams where there is no one manning this camera in person. This is an automatic camera called a huddle cam that claims to follow all of the action. So if you wonder why it's a bit spastic, that is why, and I assume it's going to drive me a bit nuts as the game goes on. And this is going to be Thomas again on the keeper, and he's trying to get to the outside. And wow, that is a big-time tackle for the Cougs.
Yeah, you got to love that. Just completely selling out. He was so sure of that. I'm going low. Nobody else is coming after it.
And our Montgomery jerseys are just ridiculously difficult to see. I don't know if that was Schmelzer off the end, possibly. Couldn't tell if that was or you know what, it's probably Davino. I'm sorry. It looks like Matt Davino, an 11. Couldn't tell if it was an 11 or a 10 on his jersey. But either way, it is a first down. So 1st and 10 for Linden. And here is a play that's going to get absolutely nothing as Montgomery breaks into the backfield. And they had a hold of, it looked like Eddie Charles that time. And that's going to be a loss of about 6 yards. So, boy, if you want to talk about, getting behind the sticks, and that's really, great way to get Linden off the field if you can get him in 2nd and 16.
Yeah, that'll make up for a couple of good run plays.
This game has the potential to be a lightning quick kind of game if everybody runs the ball the way that we think that they might with both of these quarterbacks as talented with their legs as they are. And Thomas there, and he's going to get sacked, and the ball comes out at the end. And are they going to say Montgomery has it? And there's really no signal yet from the official. And are they going to say that he was down or giving it to the Cougs? Cougs looks like they're celebrating.
Give us something.
We didn't get a signal, and it doesn't look like it. I think they're going to say that he was. They must have been calling him down, at the 33.
Either way, the contain on that is exactly what they need. There was nowhere for him to go. He rolled, and he met 3 different people.
Fantastic job in the last 2 plays by the Cougs. So it's going to bring up 3rd down and about 18 yards to go. Underway in quarter number 1, first game of the season for Montgomery. And here's going to be a quick bubble screen out to the left, and that's going to be dropped. So Montgomery's going to get off the field here, and that's a great job defensively. After the first couple of plays, it really looked like Taquan Thomas, I should say, was finding some room there with his legs.
Yeah, they weathered the storm. I mean, he had a couple of holes, and he made a couple moves, but at the same time, their contain is still there, and now they're understanding what he's trying to do, and if they can keep the pressure up, it's going to be a tough day for him.
So Linden will be back to punt.
This is going to be a real test of the huddle cam.
Yeah. And we already we're the if you want to know why this is a little difficult as Montgomery just gets out of the way. And this is one of the knocks on the huddle cam. So anybody that thinks that these automated cameras are the bee's knees, I challenge you to to watch a game like this and say we might not want to pay a kid $8 an hour to stand there and control the thing with a joystick.
They're very good with video games. I think he could do it.
Which that was such a great allusion by me to some of the fun new. We always buy fun new toys, as everybody knows here on the MIRE, and we have some fun new cameras, some not automated. Things that we can control with automation from an iPad. It's pretty neat stuff. So here's Montgomery's first offensive play of the season, and this is going to be Benitez as he cuts it back And there's a late flag on the play. Benitez gets back to the line of scrimmage, but for my money, that's probably going to be a hold. And it is a hold on Montgomery. So as quickly as we said that things were good on first down defensively, not so on offense.
Yeah, he was bouncing it outside. He's just looking for something, and that's when the holds can happen, when the linemen are trying to just figure out where are you going. I got to make room for you, and then here we are.
Well, we'll see what Montgomery, can do here. It looked like Linden very ready for that play in terms of stretching him out, but something that we know about Sean Carty is, he runs one thing to set up something else, so it wouldn't surprise me if, there looked like a sprint option on a play or two that he then pulls up and fires one down the field. So second down and long as Benitez this time will roll to his left. And he is under pressure, escapes a little bit of it, and actually gets a yard on the play after it looked like there was nothing there.
Well, he finished the run. That'll get you the yard. He took someone with him.
And that time it did look like he was trying to throw. And it's so difficult a lot of the time for us here, especially doing it remotely, where we could say, well, why didn't you just throw it? But if he's looking at that and option 1 and 1A are covered, I'd rather you take the yard on the ground, you keep the clock moving, you give your defense a chance to rest, than throw an interception or an incompletion.
Yeah, he wants to throw touchdowns, so if it's not there, it's clearly not there.
So Benitez on second down and long, I should say. Second and about 18, a little jet motion, and now we're going to have a false start on the Cougs. So an inauspicious beginning offensively for Montgomery.
Maybe they're getting it out of their system all on this drive.
Well, one could only hope. That would be fantastic. I was just thinking about the first year that Montgomery and Mark Probaka had come over to this coaching staff. It was the first year Chris Chuganoff was the quarterback, his junior year, as Benitez will send a man in motion, and he's going to look for some running room. Cuts back, but he is met nearly right away. And it'll bring up third down and long. But to finish that story, we did not have very much success in that year, Chuganoff's junior year, because, in my opinion, he stopped the clock way too often. There were just throws that were into the ground, and it was, obviously trying to pick up the new system and not just taking a 3-yard run, but rather trying to force something, and it's an incompletion. And there were so many 3 and outs, and there was so much time left on the clock. Our defense just could not, stand it, basically, as the game wore on.
You're extending the game in the wrong way.
Big time. Third down and long for Benitez. As a bit of an amoeba defense from Linden, and Benitez is going to look to throw it. Now he takes off, running to his left, makes one man miss, and he's upended as he tried to get back near the original line of scrimmage, but obviously well short of the first down. So Linden will get it back.
Yeah, he's still feeling things out, trying to figure out his reads and seeing what's there. And I don't hate that he's conservative and he's not making the risky throw. If it's not there, he's tucking it.
On third and forever, that's certainly what you'd rather him do, than force something down the middle and then, heaven forbid it gets picked off. That's just not really what you want. Punt cam. More interested in, if we have a block, we're in big trouble, down here. I can tell you right now, folks, because we got absolutely no chance.
We'll get the returner's 40 time, though.
Benitez does get the punt away, and it is a beauty. Fielded at the 32, and this is going to be returnable. A nice tackle out at the 45-yard line. Good return from Linden of about, we'll call it 15 yards.
A little bit of a field position game. They're kind of feeling each other out. Nobody's really making any mistakes except for, some penalties here and there. But in terms of the risky throws, the fumbles, it hasn't happened yet.
Looked like that was Jihad Halsey on the return. So a good job from him. 5'9", 165-pound senior. So a second crack at offense for Linden. They are 1-0. We talked about it. They defeated JFK Island 33-13 last week. Montgomery obviously washed out by Hurricane Ida, as was so many things, not only in Montgomery Township, but around the state. And we're going to have a neutral zone infraction on Montgomery. And that was, about as easy a thing to see as And again, it's so tough to see the Montgomery jersey numbers with this gold on white, but whoever was playing defensive back in the slot near the top of your screen walked into the neutral zone and tried to get back, but that's a no-no in high school.
A little bit eager. Just want to try and get the best positioning.
First game jitters are a thing, and I can just tell you right now, we were talking about it last season in college lacrosse. If a team that was playing its second game was playing a team that was playing its first game, it was just clear-cut advantage. Clear-cut advantage. Adrian Cuervo on the carry that time, the 5'9", 160-pound senior. He's got a couple. It'll bring up second down and about 4.
Yeah, like you were saying, though, it's tough. When you haven't gotten your first tackle this season, you haven't gotten your first hit and felt the contact and hit the ground, it's almost like the season hasn't really started yet.
Well, you think about anything that you take off from doing for a certain period of time, give it 2 games. Nobody's walking offside. You're before you start walking forward, you're like, wait a minute, let me look over here before I start walking. In game 1, it's understandable. You get it. And here's another run and a big hit by the Cougs. And Linden is going to be short. And again, that was Cuervo on the carry. So Eddie Charles will check back into the ball game. Charles is the team's second leading rusher in their first game of the season. 50 yards on the ground.
They really are committed to just pounding the ball and running it. And I wonder, is this just to lull you to sleep so that you can attempt that deep ball?
Maybe we talked about it as, they didn't need to throw the ball. And look at that, a big hit in the backfield as Thomas just hesitated for a second, and that was really not a great idea. So tough for me to see a number there of who that was.
Well, he met a lot of people, but initially that was just nothing.
Was that a Arantes? Was that a 65 that I saw? It's so tough to see, and I hate not doing justice to the kids and calling their names. Certainly will be a different story when we are in person at Cougar Stadium. But it's 4th and 2, and it looks like Linden is going to go for it. And I think you're going to see a lot more of this, not only in high school football, but probably around the NFL. And did they get Montgomery to jump? No, they didn't call it. And here's going to be a handoff and a cutback and a first down at the 41-yard line. So a nice job to get the first down that time, and it was Cuervo again.
Yeah, those are tough. When that 4th down gets converted, it's a little bit of a blow you got to take and regroup.
I feel like they got a little bit lucky there too, and not getting called for offside. So
that was a generous not taking away 5 yards.
6 of one, half dozen of the other. First down, new set of downs for Linden. 1st and 10 at the Montgomery 40-yard line. And everybody with a flag threw one on that play. So false start against the Tigers. So everybody kind of feeling their way. It's just kind of 2 boxers standing in the middle of the ring, tossing a couple of jabs at each other, feeling things out.
Yeah, but the problem with this is Montgomery really needs to get some momentum going because it's the first game of the season. Their energy, they got to get it up. They need one of those plays that gets everybody on the bench excited, and right now they just haven't had a ton of those.
Want to welcome everybody who is joining us from their homes tonight as we welcome you into what will hopefully be another very fun year. 2021-2022 football, boys basketball on the MIRE. And here is a little misdirection handoff, and a great job again by the Montgomery defensive line. And they're saying fumble. Montgomery's saying fumble. Let's see what the officials say. They're sorting out bodies, and there was a fumble, and Montgomery has it. How about that?
Yeah, the bench was going nuts. You knew something happened over there.
You see the officials, they were pulling bodies apart, and the first turnover of the season comes courtesy of the defensive line. And you heard Coach Milich in the pregame, Matt, talk about that being the most experienced, or most dangerous part, not the most experienced, but the most dangerous part of this team. And so far in quarter number 1, they have proven it.
I mean, you can control a lot of the game just by having that line of scrimmage being what you need it to be. if they're disrupting the offense, there are a lot of things that's going to help, especially their own offense, because you get a play like that, you get possession, better field position, and then who knows, maybe they go for one of the quick hitters here, and hopefully we see something good.
First series jitters are out the way. And let's see what Carty and Benitez have dialed up. Benitez was looking to throw and, pulls it down at the last second, and he's going to end up getting sacked. And Montgomery again getting behind the chains. This feels a little bit like early in the season last year where they were just playing from, first or second and long. It felt like almost every series for the first game and a half.
Yeah, there's only so many plays in the playbook that are designed for 1st and 15. I mean, it's just you're not used to operating like that, so it's hard to really get things moving.
And this is one of the, that second down and 13 where we're in now. This is a play where you don't need 13. You would love to just get 6, right?
6 would be great.
Get yourself back into 3rd and makeable. That's what I'm always in that 5, 6, 7 yard range. Always feels makeable. Benitez will roll to his right, and this time he will throw, and that is going to be dropped, I believe. Yep.
There was a little bit of room. First time we've seen somebody even have a little bit of grass in front of him without a defender near.
Yeah, Jenkins couldn't hold on to that one. So it will be 3rd and long. And listen, how many times did we see Benitez pick up 3rd and long last season? Quite a few.
Yeah, I mean, he'll make a move. He's got that kind of playmaking ability. It's just you hate to have to rely on that in these situations over and over.
It's very clear right now through the first 10 minutes of this game that Montgomery really wants to roll Benitez out of the pocket and not just stand there. So we'll see what they have cooked up here. And again, he rolls to his right and looking to step back up and run back the opposite direction, but he's going to be sacked. And again, it will be a punting situation for the Cougs.
It's tough. You want to roll him out to get him some more room to, get a better view and see what's downfield. But at the same time, it's asking a lot of the linemen to have to, be quick off these lines and get right or get left without getting beat.
So Benitez, who does pretty much everything for this team, stands back at his own 26 and gets the kick away without a problem and puts that monster. Wow, look at this one. Let's hope that doesn't roll into the end zone. It's not gonna. It's picked up at the 6. What a monster punt that is. Oh, my goodness. And they're going to get away. This might be turned into a big return here as they escape. And that's just a missed opportunity, but a fantastic, fantastic job. All credit due to Eddie Charles to really get himself out of a terrible situation at the 5, Matt.
Yeah, that's not a good feeling when you're picking up a ball moving that slow and you see 3-4 defenders already at 5 yards away, but he figured out something.
What he did there was reminiscent of, it was the high school version of what Devin Hester would do for all those years. And, I got to watch Hester probably a little more closely than I had when he was with Chicago those last couple of years when he played with the Falcons. And he was fast enough that he could catch the ball and stretch horizontally. And then as soon as he saw that crack in the, in the coverage, he put his foot in the ground and got vertical. And it happened in a hurry. And that was what happened there. Go horizontal, he put his foot in the ground, got vertical, and that's where you can really kind of outwit a defense. And here's a jet sweep, and that is going to go for about a yard maybe. And Andrew Cuervo there again.
And the line's getting good penetration. The problem is the first contact is not always enough to slow somebody down. And, I mean, it's good to be rushing people, but if that first contact isn't stopping the play, then just making more work for others.
You're going to hear the Cuervo name, Adrian and Andrew. Twins, both 5'9", 160 pounds. So one wears 4, one wears 5. So I'll try to make sure that we can keep those two straight for you. And this is going to be another running play. And this is going to be, it looks like Thomas off the left side, and he's got enough for a first down. So the sophomore evades enough Montgomery tacklers.
Yeah, he's patient. He understands that something might develop if you wait for that block, and on that one there was a great seal right on the edge.
So a new set of downs inside Montgomery territory for Linden as we're under a minute to go now in the first quarter. First game of the season for Montgomery. What was an otherwise beautiful fall day, I'm certain is also in Linden tonight, although it's also very temperate in my basement where we broadcast.
It's not in another time zone. It's like an hour.
That's right. Well, I get it. And we have a fumble on the exchange, and Linden very fortunate to get back on top of it. And again, that was Andrew Cuervo. It looks like he's coming up a little lame for a second. No, I think he's just angry. I thought he was hurt. He's just pissed.
Yeah, the defensive line it's disrupting things. I mean, not everything is resulting in that huge loss of play, but even something like that, just seeing that they can't get a handoff or they can't get something moving, is they have to be thinking about who's coming from where.
I got to tell you, it's not really too difficult to spot Fury out on the field. I don't really know
No.
that I need to see his jersey number to know when he does something well.
No, he is right there.
And that's going to take us to the end of quarter number 1. It's battle of attrition through one quarter in Linden. It's the kickoff to high school football in 2021. We'll be right back. Second quarter coming up. You're caught in the mire. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. Welcome back to the Mire. Keith Glock and Matt Pogue live from Lawrenceville as we watch Montgomery football with you in the Mire. We broadcast remotely for most of our away games. It'll be second down and 14 as we start quarter number 2 in the first game of the football season in 2021. Here's a little bubble screen out to the right. Caught complete and twirled out of bounds. That time that looked like it was Stevie Dorval.
Yeah, they must have seen something on that read, because when he threw that screen, the normal matchup of somebody getting blocked to be prevented from the tackle, there wasn't someone. He had 10 yards before he saw anyone.
So now Linden back into what we were talking about, third and makeable. And that was a good job by Dorval to get out on the edge. And I have to imagine that at some point in the future, they're going to look to him down the field. 6'3", 190 pounds. I mean, he's just going to be bigger and taller than most of the guys that he'll probably go against out on the edge.
Yeah, especially in the red zone. If they get anywhere near there, they're throwing up to him.
Thomas is looking to throw deep, and he evades a tackler, cannot evade a second. And this is going to be an interesting situation for Linden. This is right in that no man's land fourth down situation, and doesn't look like... No, now they are. They're going to punt.
I mean, that's interesting. They had worse field position and went for it before.
But that was like 4th and 2. This is a little more nebulous, and this is a situation where if you're Montgomery, just
immediately.
And they do snap it and kick it away. And that's going to be a great kick.
Yeah, nice and high.
And a dangerous decision. How about that? Is that some kind of something? Horse guy, there it is. Line judge as he came up the field, and based on how quickly he walked back the other direction, I think the line judge won that argument.
I don't even know what he said. I would love to hear what he came up with. My neck is stiff watching that.
Yikes. So we'll see what the officials do with the ball. They're going to put the ball down at the 10. So maybe they did pick up the flag, to Montanez's delight.
Huh.
Interesting.
I don't know what to make of that one.
No, me either. You know what? And from where he was and throwing that flag, you don't really know. Did he have actually a hand inside the jersey? Was it
Yeah.
on his helmet?
Was it on the shoulder pad?
Yeah.
It looked bad. Yeah.
You don't know. Gotta put a little Vaseline on them shoulder pads. You know,
What kind of old veteran trick is that?
just listen. You can't tackle, but you can't grab. And Benitez straight up the middle on first down, and that hole closed as quickly as it opened, so only about a yard.
I'm starting to get the feeling that these defensive backs and the safeties are eventually they're going to get caught napping because you can only play so many downs where the ball is snapped, you run in 3 steps, you look, there's nothing for you to do. Eventually, you're going to get flat-footed, and hopefully that's when they can really find one of those deep balls.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second here, maybe after second down. Second down and 9 for Benitez and the Cougs as we approach the 10-minute mark of quarter number 2. They run a little jet motion, and they'll inside handoff, and that's going to go also nowhere. You referenced that the deep ball. There is a distinct difference from the last 3 seasons or so of Montgomery football, and it's the fact that no one with the last name McFadden is playing on the outside. And not saying, but just saying, it's a little bit of a difference when you don't have that kind of speed out there.
I mean, we're waiting for who that new name's going to be. I mean, it's not that someone can't make that play. It's just we have to figure out maybe you have to work a little harder in your play calling to build up to it.
This is the kind of situation where, like, if you had and now this experienced Mark Jenkins weapon that becomes. Benitez fakes the handoff, and now he's looking to get outside to his right, looking for the edge, and he's got the first down outside the 20-yard line. So the first down of the season for the Cougs comes on the feet of Alex Benitez, and I don't really think that surprises anybody.
No, I mean, to be honest, I expected him to get close, but there was some kind of speed burst that he jumped up. Somebody had an angle on him, he still got there.
I think that's the thing that we've seen from Benitez now for 4 years on the varsity level, and how, just even saying that, 4 years on the varsity level in high school football, there's just not a lot of kids that show up to high school physically equipped to play against 18-year-old kids, It
might be cruel for a lot of freshmen to do that to him.
For most, to be brutally honest with you. And Benitez again, and he is going to stumble and trip down at about the 25 and a half, and that kind of felt unlucky.
Yeah, there was something there.
Yeah.
Either way, momentum. They're falling forward, which is still better than what was going on in the first quarter. So 2-3 yards is, still helpful.
But, we said it already. You just can't play from first and 15 or second and 14. You just,
Right.
It's too tough. So Benitez on 2nd and 7, and then we're going to get, Jesus, the Glock hex is in full effect right now.
Free throws, ball starts, you got
Oh.
it all.
I'm the worst. Yeah, we're walking the wrong direction, so that's what it's going to be. False start on the Cougs. Benitez, as most know, if you've listened to us or follow Montgomery football at all, really kind of forced into action as a quarterback. Nobody really expected him to be a quarterback. Everybody expected him to continue to play running back. First play of the season last year, a broken arm means that, hey, Alex, here's the ball, go run things. That's hard.
Yeah, I mean, the whole playbook is drastically different. Just a lot to pick up quickly.
Good job by the offensive line to pick up the blitz there. Benitez needed to make one-man miss, could not do it. Good coverage down the field by Linden. And now we're going to be back to the original line of scrimmage in 3rd and long.
I mean, you can be the best athlete in the world, but when you're asked to be 3-on-1 on the edge, you're not going to win those battles. It's tougher.
And in reality, it's 4-on-1 because the sideline is another defender.
Yeah, they are
right?
taking great angles, too. They're forcing it.
Yeah. So as we predicted, this game rolling along rather expeditiously. Not the high-flying affair that many had hoped for, but more of a battle uphill in the snow, both ways from school. All the kids have no idea what we're talking about. They're like, walk to school, what? And a little flip over the middle.
That was interesting.
Yeah, for Jenkins. And That was incomplete. So it'll bring up another 4th down for the Cougs in a punting situation.
I mean, that wasn't completed, but there was a little bit of room there, and that 5-6 yards. If that works, that might be something to keep thinking about.
And I think that's one where you hope, right? Like Jenkins catches the ball and somebody whiffs on a tackle, and then all of a sudden he's off to the races one-on-one there.
Yeah, just hoping he win the 60-yard foot race. Yeah.
Yeah. Benitez, very strong-legged. And that will go out of bounds at about midfield, so we'll call it about a 28-yard punt.
Man, this is really just field position, and it's almost like who's going to make the least amount of mistakes on a drive, and that might help get some points up.
It's one of those things that you feel like maybe one big play here or a crucial turnover in a wrong position could be the difference between a win and a loss in a game like this.
Yeah, this has the feeling of special teams or defensive score might be, like the backbreaker that just, put him over the edge.
Yep. So Taquan running room off to the right side, and we're going to have a flag come in at the last second as Eddie Charles is tackled after a gain of about 6 yards. And I don't know what that flag is going to be, although Linden is going the wrong direction, it looks like.
Got to hold somewhere?
Blocking the back. Yeah, blocking the back on the tackle. And it might have been actually on the tackle of the play, which I always think is funny that you call an illegal block because the guy got blocked in the back and it ends up tackling the guy who's got the ball. It's one of those that I'm like, well, thanks for the help. I'll take it.
Do we have to penalize you? You did that yourself.
So Linden now playing behind the sticks. 1st and 15. Now back inside their own territory. Its own territory, I should say. My subject-verb agreement gets a little off even in the first game of the season. Here's Thomas who takes off. And you talked about burst, Matt, from Benitez to Thomas there was the one who showed that off. And we'll call that about 14 yards.
Yeah, he almost lulls you into thinking that he can't get to the gap that's there, and then as soon as you ease up, he's just gone.
Officially, we'll call it 13, and that was an impressive bit of running from Taquan Thomas.
So that was one big play, but you get 2 of those, and before you know it, you're actually able to throw into the end zone with a lot more accuracy, and then that's tough to stop him, especially with that 6'3" receiver.
Yeah, right. Here's a handoff and a great job by our boy Brandon Fury there, right near the 1st down marker. And it looks like they are going to give it to him as the near side official stopping the clock, which means a 1st down in high school.
He really ran into a brick wall.
I heard something really interesting the other day about stopping the clock, and because there's so much stopping the clock on 1st downs in high school and college. Obviously, there's so much interest in protecting our kids, and from injury, not only to their heads in football, but everywhere. Football is just a dangerous sport. As Linden with a fresh set of downs, and they run a little jet sweep, and this again is going to be Andrew Cuervo, and he's tackled after a short gain, but the average college football game is extended by X number of plays, which when multiplied out over the course of a season, because you have stopped the clock that many times for a 1st down, it actually equals out to be worth an extra game's worth of plays. So, if you think about adding another 65 plays to a season, yeah, that's a full football game of kids hitting each other.
It's a lot of extra hits.
Right? So, if you just eliminated the clock stoppage, for all of the kind of attention that's paid, it is a great play in the backfield by the Cougs.
Yeah, nobody was falling for that decoy. He was all by himself over on the edge.
No, faking the jet sweep, and that Montgomery defensive line standing tall, setting up 3rd down and now long. But just to finish that thought, there was so much attention that was paid to that Monday night game, Ole Miss and Louisville. There were 4 targeting ejections in the 1st half, and I know everybody hates that. look at his intent. And so the people that want to get on Twitter and say, make sure you look at the intent, are you going to go ask the guy, hey, did you mean to do that?
Yeah.
No, the official who's looking at a camera is going to go, yeah, I think he meant to do that. Like, you're just putting in a completely untenable situation on the officials if you decided to do that. Don't hit him with the top of your head. That's the answer. Here's Thomas. He's going to take off, and he's way past the line of scrimmage, folks, I think. As he throws downfield, it's going to be intercepted down at the 10-yard line, and a great job downfield by the Cougs. Let's see if there was a flag for Thomas being past the line of scrimmage. And if not, it's just pretty much the same as a decent punt.
Pretty good punt, yeah. He did look a couple of yards past it, though. Maybe our angle's not right, but something didn't look right there.
Mark Jenkins coming up with the interception. Jenkins, the cornerback last year, now moved to free safety. He's got some room to roll out there in center field, and he came up with that one. So second turnover of the game for Linden. But, I don't want to hear don't hit a guy with your head. Or judge intent. My answer is don't hit him with your head.
Yeah.
Okay, lower your pad level. See what you're going to hit. Don't go in with your head down. That to me is a coaching thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not the officials' fault. The officials are calling it the way that the rule is written.
You're trying not to have people, attack each other.
Benitez, as his pass was just a little low, and it looked like they might have been onto something there too with that tunnel screen.
There's space. I mean, that and the play up the middle, there was space on those two plays. They just have to figure out a way to complete that because 5 yards and maybe a missed tackle, and before you know it, you're really driving down the field.
Well, it looked like Benitez, maybe aiming that one a little bit more than just letting it, rip out there into the flat.
And that's a rhythm thing. I mean, that's going to come. The more routes you run, the more times you get to see that.
Down to 10. Benitez now looking back to the Montgomery sideline for some guidance, and he's changing something up at the line. First time we've seen him do that tonight. We're under 4 minutes to go first half, and this is going to be a running play off the left side. A lot of room there. First time on the inside draw, and it yielded big dividends, a gain of about 15 yards and a first down for Montgomery.
Yeah, I like that play call. They really spread the field out. They got a lot of the defenders away from the line of scrimmage, and they were able to really find that gap.
Benitez hurrying his guys to the line, and they try it again, and maybe about a yard for the Cougs.
I mean, after the first down, that's not terrible. I mean, you don't want to give any time back to Linden. This really should be the last drive of the half.
So it will be second down as we have the clock rolling under 3 minutes to go now. Whatever the protection change was at the line certainly worked.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's designed or if he truly just saw, we got the coverage we're supposed to get, and we do this.
Right. There might be an automatic check in that situation depending on the front that they see, and they're going to get another false start on Montgomery. And now we got another late flag, and maybe somebody said something else at the end. So we're going to at least probably have a false if they enforce the first penalty as well. Either way, however this goes, it's not good for the Cougs.
No, they're going the wrong way, whatever it is.
And this one might go all the way back to the 10-yard line. It's going to at least the 15. It would be, it's going to go all the way back to the 10 because you're going to go 5 for the false start. And then in the dead ball time, you have the unsportsmanlike conduct, which tacks on another 15 to that. So all in all, you go 20 in the wrong direction. And if you're Linden here, you probably, if you can get, a pretty decent stop here, on second down, you probably take a timeout, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you want the ball back.
Let's see if Linden thinking the same way that we are.
You have to imagine they're expecting a more conservative call here.
Well, Carty is not conservative as Benitez throws, and that is incomplete. So that's really not what you wanted, as, again, he was looking for Jenkins out there. That's a hard situation to put Benitez in, rolling to his left on a play like that.
Yeah, across your body, and you have to throw it low. That's difficult.
Decent coverage out there by Linden made it all the more difficult. But, you know, when you know you're going to be under a little bit of pressure there, it's so difficult to have the discipline to, you know, really just turn your whole body, plant your feet, and throw that ball with some mustard out to the left. You have to kind of stay in motion for your own self-preservation. So it's 3rd and forever as they look to throw it. Benitez rolling, and he is going to get stopped in bounds at the 15-yard line, well short of the first down.
We'll see if they call that timeout.
Not so, at least so far.
Nope.
I don't know why you wouldn't do this.
Yeah, I don't, you're gonna.
Unless they're afraid that they're going to score too quickly, come in the other direction. But that hasn't been the case so far. So
That's an interesting fear to have in this game.
yeah, as Benitez sends off a booming kick. Nice and high. And Linden does the thing that I despise the most in the world in high school football and let a catchable punt bounce.
Catch it.
Montgomery does them a favor by downing it before they see which direction it rolls, because that thing could have rolled another 10 yards. So it'll be 1st down and 10 for Linden, just inside the 50-yard line of Montgomery. Keith Glock, Matt Pogue, coming to you live from Lawrenceville as we watch the opening night of high school football with you live at Linden. Matt, it's good to be with you, buddy.
Yeah, this was a long time coming. Feels like more than just a year for whatever reason.
I know. I'm excited about what we have coming to you on the MIRE this season, just because of some new technology that we bought, which I know I say that every year. And Pogue, I'll make fun of us in a second as Linden gets things rolling here. $1:41 to go before the half. Thomas will throw that bubble screen out to his right, and it looks like they're going to get some yardage, and a great job to pick up about 3. And it looked like Jihad Halsey that time.
You can't have that. You can't have a screen and then he gets to run 30 yards laterally with no contact.
Even now he's tired. It was for a gain of 4. You know.
The other guys aren't.
So 2nd down as the clock continues to roll as we near a minute. Here's Thomas stepping up, throwing deep up the seam. Oh, and nearly a fingertip catch. Maybe if he laid out, had an opportunity. But where have they been hiding that arm on Taquan Thomas? Holy mackerel.
So there's a method to the madness then. Let's, run the ball. I'm going to roll out. You don't think I'm going to throw it until, we finally do. But, man,
I would almost go like, if you have a problem protecting, I would like keep 6 and a back in.
Yeah.
Give the back the option route, right, to come to peel off.
Yeah.
And other than that, tell Thomas, like, here's 2 reads for you at about 14 yards, and if not, use them legs.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it, and it's effortless, and it'll go 40 yards.
Yeah, ball just pops out of his hand. You can keep an eye on this young man for the next couple of years. Here he is again as he steps up, still looking to throw. And he sidearms one out incomplete on 3rd and 6. So, maybe the fears were warranted.
Yeah, that was, understandably justified now, especially coming into last week or from last week with 4 passes.
Right.
I see why. It makes sense.
And I was going to say, I couldn't understand why they didn't send the punting unit on right away. You have to punt it here.
Yeah.
You can't, to go for it and miss here under a minute to go, that, with Montgomery with its full complement of timeouts. When was the last time we saw Montgomery going to halftime without Zoran Milic calling a timeout?
I was waiting for that.
Oh, my God.
I was waiting to hear that.
A great kick. Fair catch called for and made at the 14-yard line. So Montgomery's blocked all the way up 53.5. To make fun of us, as we were joking, Matt and I, while the interview with Coach Milic was playing in the background, I said, Matt, we might have not screwed up game 1 for the first time in the history of the MIRE in any sport.
I don't know.
So far, so good, man. Listen, we got picture, we got audio, which is more than I can say for like almost every first game ever.
Yeah, this is night and day from Phillipsburg. I'll tell you that much.
It's always Phillipsburg.
It's always Phillipsburg, every time.
We just don't want to show Phillipsburg.
We need to get them to stop scheduling
I'll
Phillipsburg
tell you.
first game of the season.
Oh, it is what it is. But a better beginning for the Mire in 2021 than for either offense here on this night in Linden so far, as Benitez will pull it down. And as it has been all night, it's been a tough go, and that gains about 4.
I mean, this is a tough situation anyway, though. You have under a minute, even with all your timeouts, to try and go 80 yards. It's tough.
Yeah.
Did not expect to see 2 changes of possessions from 3:30 under with all those timeouts. That was a little strange.
What do you think total combined yardage is right now? About 100?
Yeah, 100's probably about right.
Right, maybe 50 each way.
We've been watching a lot of the game, between the 40s of just back and forth.
And, well, you can probably back that up another 4, so maybe we're back down to 95 total yards. Montgomery backs itself up to 3rd and forever. Now we have a timeout. So Linden uses one there. A curious usage there.
It's got something up their sleeve, I guess.
I mean,
I don't know.
if you're Montgomery here, you just tell Benitez to get outside the edge, and
Yeah.
You're either going to run for a touchdown here, or we're going to the half,
Yeah,
right?
Run out of bounds to the locker room. I don't know.
But just make sure you take 5.4 seconds to do it. Right? Well,
Yeah,
I mean, right? I mean,
I
because you
know.
don't want to have to punt.
Yeah, it
has
has
to
to
be
be
here?
said. Yeah, it has to be said.
Because if you know what's going to happen. If somehow they have to punt here, Linden is going to put 65 guys on the line of scrimmage and say, well, the return probably doesn't matter. Let's see if we can block this thing and get in the end zone.
That's when you get a tough snap or something goes wrong.
Of course. Of course. So 3rd down and about 9 yards. Cougs backed all the way up, and now Montgomery's going to take time. Just make sure everything's okay. Listen, we couldn't go to the half without Zoran getting the one timeout in the book. Z, I don't play. They don't pay you extra. The newly minted athletic director at Montgomery High School, Chris Grundy, is not paying you extra to take those timeouts home with you, buddy. It's got to use one. I mean, it's typically we use one on extra point or something like that. That's always my favorite. There's a great. After this play, before we go to the half, we got to talk about Chris Grundy a little bit, and I got to tell a great story from a couple of years ago about Zoran calling a timeout on extra point. It's a legendary story from. I don't even know that the Mire existed yet. I still might have been doing the PA in the football press box. So that's probably 2009 maybe. As Benitez is going to circle to the outside. Can he do it here? Oh my goodness, is this going to happen? Benitez up the left side. He is going to. Now he gets tracked down at the 15. Oh, just not enough burn in the legs of Alex Benitez. He came so close. A 75-yard run, more than probably, or maybe at least both teams had combined in the entire first half ever.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, that would be played every day in practice.
So we have played 2 quarters at Linden, and we're scoreless going into the half. Holy cow. A couple of things I want to talk about. The first is, I'll just tell you the quick Zord story before we get into Chris Grundy. I wish I could tell you who we were playing, but it was like the second quarter. We're kicking an extra point, and this was the first year that maybe Zoran wasn't running the offense, and he was running like defense and special teams. So he was like very tuned into what should have been happening out there. And he wants a timeout for everything he's worth on extra point. And nobody sees him. Like the officials just don't see him.
Because why would you be looking
Right.
for it?
It was just one of those things he does see. So now instinctively, and he didn't do this maliciously because I made fun of him afterwards, and he was like, oh my God, I swear to God, I can't believe nobody, I didn't get a penalty, number one, and I swear to God I didn't do it on purpose, because you could see him. He's just like, no one's listening to me. So he's got his lanyard around his neck, and he pulled it up to his mouth. He blew the whistle. Blew his own whistle on extra point. Everyone was massively confused. One official looked at the other one like, what? And they were like, timeout Montgomery. And they just gave him the timeout.
It worked? That
Worked.
was it? No conversation?
Totally worked. Everyone was completely confused. And they were like, I mean, I think the other team was probably like, hey, if you want to call timeout on PAT, like,
Yeah.
go ahead and use one,
We
man.
don't
Like,
know why, but wow.
it was like it happened. And I remember standing up in the press box going, did Zarn just blow his whistle? I'm like, I think that just happened.
Hey, he will be heard. He will be heard. I want my timeout.
It was pretty unbelievable.
You don't know what I'm going to plan. You don't know what I'm cooking up.
Oh my goodness gracious. The other thing I want to talk about is obviously a brand new athletic director at Montgomery High School. It is a name, a human, a personality, a fixture at the high school. The head coach of the boys basketball program, Chris Grundy, now also doubling as the school's athletic director. He will still coach boys basketball. I know that's probably the first question on everybody's mind. And that's a very, very wise decision on the powers that be, whoever decided that. But I can't tell you how excited I am for Chris and his family, and as he gets a little more of what I think any dad might need, in these situations, where maybe he can get a little more sleep at night and do what he needs to do there. But when you talk about the athletic director position, Matt, to me it's always been about personal attention and time, and things that for people can get annoying if you have things that you need to get done. But to be effective in that position, you need to be around, and you need to be responsive, and you need to do it in a way that people feel listened to and heard. You're not always going to agree. You're going to have a parent here and there who thinks that their son or daughter should play a little more than they are. You got to sit and have that conversation from time to time, which playing time is always that, like, conversation that, we want to empower coaches to not have to deal with that. And yet, this is reality. And in my opinion, Matt, I don't know that the school and the board could have made a better choice than Chris Grundy.
No, I mean, you need to be a people person to do that job well. You interact with so many people on a daily basis, and every interaction I've had with him, I've left with a smile. He just has that kind of effect on people, and I know that he works hard and he's organized, so he's gonna thrive.
There's a couple of guys in my life and girls who I would describe as, I don't know that I've ever been in a situation where I haven't left where that person has made it more fun, right? Like,
yes.
like that. Yes. That is Chris Grundy. Like, no matter what we're doing, where he's coaching basketball, we're watching football, we're doing anything, we could be like playing bocce ball, and it's more fun with him there than it is if he's not. So as we say that, congratulations to Chris Grundy on that position as Montgomery's new athletic director. We wish him all the luck in the world, not that he will need it there. And as our shameless plug, as we get into the half, the Montgomery boys basketball golf outing scheduled for September 27th at Cherry Valley Country Club. If you want more details about how you can get in, if you have your own foursome or you just want to come and play, you can email the head of the boys basketball booster club, which is the Sixth Man Club, and that is Maria Levy. And that's Maria Levy, and it's MARIALEVY @gmail.com. And that'll do it for us here in half number one. We'll step away as the Linden High School band is out on the field, and we'll come back after a near miraculous play by Alex Benitez to close out the first half. We're scoreless in Linden. You're caught in the mire. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. Welcome back to the MIRE. Keith Glock and Matt Pogue live from Linden High School. Or we're live from Lawrenceville. They're live at Linden High School. As the opening night of high school football is about to enter quarter number 3. We had a little bit of fireworks there at the end of the second quarter as Benitez nearly made us all look silly as he
so close.
ran out of gas after a valiant effort, 75-yard run.
Do you think he was surprised? You think he was like, why?
Well, that was entirely of his own doing as Montgomery will get the kick to start the second half. Eddie Charles was the guy who was supposed to keep contain number 1 in black, and Benitez just made one move and bounced it to the outside as the kickoff is going to be fielded by the Cougs, I think, yes, and brought out nicely just shy of the 40-yard line. So that's where the Montgomery Cougars will begin the second half. And once Charles couldn't keep contain on that last play of the second quarter, it really was just about do you have the stamina to get going?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. People had a good angle on him. It really would have been. He'd have to make another move, and at that point, 60 yards into the run, that's hard to ask.
Man. And you know what? The other thing is, too, the kid does everything. You know, it's like he had the ball in his hands on every play.
As soon as he got tackled, he had to get off and fill up the Gatorade cooler. That's tough.
Is he driving the bus on the way home, too?
He got his CDL, but he's not doing it quite yet. He's almost there.
1st and 10 for Montgomery, just inside the 40-yard line. And here's a handoff and a little bit of space. And a nice gain of 5 yards to start things off in quarter number 3.
One thing I've always liked about this team is when they come out of the half, they clearly have made adjustments and they've talked about what's going to work and what hasn't worked, because the play calling is always, it's just so different, and they're trying to find something else to really make something go.
No doubt about it. And you know what? I credit, the Montgomery coaches, for that. So it'll be second down and just shy of 5. As Benitez will roll out to his left, puts his foot in the ground, and he's out near a first down. And they're going to give him a first down. So a better beginning to the third quarter, certainly, than what we saw at the beginning of the game.
I'm still not sure. Are these design runs, or is there nothing there? Because he's looking, but I can't really tell.
That was not, I don't think. I think that was a passing play that he turned into, something positive. I don't think that they're giving him like 3 reads on any pass play because, basically they're shrinking the field in half by rolling the pocket as much as they are. And again, an inside handoff here, and another nice gainer for the Cougs, 4 or 5 yards on first down. And, right, you'll take 4 a clip here.
3rd and 3 is sure.
This also isn't a mystery, right? I mean, you hadn't played football in how many months?
Yeah.
You're nervous. There's a whole mess of stuff going on with game number 1. Guys playing certain positions for the first time. You just got 2 quarters under your belt. Yep. It's obviously natural you're going to feel a little bit better in the third quarter. So, whatever the reason, it's all good. Benitez rolling, a little bit of time, and now just flings it out to the right, and that's going to be intercepted by Linden. And the first turnover of the game for the Cougs is going to be a costly one, as Benitez just threw into some traffic there. He actually off Matt, putting his foot in the ground and not breaking outside the tackle, but probably cutting it up inside. And that forced the throw. And you know what else forces that particular situation is that in high school football, there's no such thing as a throwaway. So he rolls outside the pocket. Every other level of football that we watch on television, you get outside the tackle box. As long as you get the ball back to the line of scrimmage, you can throw it away. Not so in high school football. You could throw it way out of bounds, and it's intentional grounding.
Yeah, so, I mean, the options are lose 15 yards, or maybe I can throw it and get the incomplete.
On first down, so it looks like both teams making an adjustment coming out in the third quarter, and that was Eddie Charles, the 5'8", 150-pound senior.
He is quick.
Yes.
I think there was a little bit of a blur behind that.
No doubt about it. So a new set of downs for the Tigers, playing on their home field. Couple minutes gone by in quarter number 3. Is another inside handoff and more running room and a lot of hand grabbing there. As down, looks like they were forced out of bounds at about the 14-yard line, if you believe the official on the far side. And we'll call it the 15.
Yeah, both teams have found something that's working a little differently here.
So Montgomery really kind of needing to rely on the defense here. This is the closest either team has come to the end zone in any sustained kind of way. Charles again, he tries to go up the middle, and he runs into a brick wall by the name of Brandon Fury in the middle after a gain of 3.
So this is one of those situations where I'm starting to wonder, all right, you have a 6'3" receiver. Is this the time? Is this when he goes and runs that fade, or he's running some quick slant into the end zone? Where's he going to go?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's what I'm watching right here.
Montgomery fairly spread out defensively. As Taquan Thomas, the sophomore, he'll keep it. And he is going to get maybe back to the line of scrimmage, half a yard. It'll be 3rd down and about 5. So a good job so far for the Cougs defensively here, as they're backed up as far as they've been all evening.
If they can force a decision about a field goal, that is a huge win here. It was tough field position to begin with, but they've started to hold their ground here.
Can the D-line stiffen? Pressure up the middle, for any quarterback is just a tough thing to handle. And let's see if Big Brandon Fury can get some here, as he kind of gets cut right at the line of scrimmage, and we are going to have flags on the play. So this one's going to come back, as both the referee and the back judge threw in towards the line of scrimmage there. Fury looked like he was going to actually make that play, and he got chopped down at the knees.
Yeah, that didn't look right.
No, I didn't even get a. Do we get a penalty signal? I didn't even see one. But it's going to be a hold, and that'll bring up 3rd and long now for Linden.
This could be one of those momentum shifting plays too. You make this.
Oh,
stop,
yeah.
You force that 4th down. You're feeling good.
I don't know what kind of field goal kicker Linden has, but this is one of those very awkward down and distances. If Montgomery can stop him here, relatively short. Thomas looking to escape. He's looking for room out to the left, and he doesn't have it, as he's going to be chopped down after a gain of about 3 on the play. It's 4th down and 12 or so. And if they're going to kick from here, it's going to be about a 33-yarder. And I think that they are going to kick based on the personnel that they're sending into the game. We'll see if we can get an eye on what number.
That's a tough kick, too. Far left hash.
Yeah.
Come across the ball.
Is it going to be 10? It is going to be 10, it looks like. Pablo Montanez, 6'4", 220-pound senior. And it's going to be officially a 35-yarder from the left hash. As we look for the first points of the game, Montanez puts it on its way, and it is good. And I only base that on the fact that the Linden sideline is cheering. as we
Huddle cam wanted us to see one of those blocks somewhere in the middle.
Oh, goodness gracious. So Linden on the scoreboard, first for either team, as we're about halfway through quarter number 3. 3-0 in favor of the Tigers. So Montgomery now behind the 8 ball a little bit.
I would not, if If you had told me 3-0 middle of the third quarter, I wouldn't have believed you.
No.
I would not have taken that Super Bowl box. That would not have been.
Yeah, get 0-0. Come out a couple of times there, you know.
Yeah.
You just keep collecting on some cash. Take that.
Do you think this changes the play calling here?
No, I don't. I don't. I think if you do, I think that's what probably bad coordinators get lulled into, right? You know, if you've seen something that you made an adjustment on something and you're like, okay, we hit on a couple of plays here and we were marching and then it was just a bad decision that forced a turnover. You know, I think you still go with that. You know, you're going to reach a certain point where, you know, you need to make sure that you're hitting on some of this. Is we had a very short kick fielded by Montgomery and down at the 35.
An intentional squib? That was,
I think it was. That was just a very odd.
I guess the kicker made a field goal. Feeling good. Now's the time.
You know what that could have been, though, too? That's one of those things that, you know, we see every once in a while in high school where the kicker just 7 directions. Maybe you get the ball back. But it was not to be, and Montgomery, in any event, will take over. Senior signal caller Alex Benitez on his feet and off right tackle for a gain of 9. Nicely done by Alex. So it does seem, Matt, like, you know, whatever the
things that they're running don't look tremendously different. They're still the rollout.
things that, you know, kind of go into this, you know, I guess is it everybody's a little more comfortable? Is it, you know, like, you know, it could be any number of different things. So Benitez, in any event, scrambling, and this time he's going to be dropped back inside the 40-yard line, and that's going to be for sack. So we take the good with the bad, and it ends in third down and some distance. Certainly still third and makeable after a good run on first down, but, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it started out with a great drive, and now they're kind of falling into the difficult downs, and I'm not quite sure what they're going to be play calling here because you're still in a little bit of a hole this part of the field.
Right? They're in about 6 as we're under 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Benitez looking to keep the sticks moving for this Cougar team as he'll roll to his left, throws to his left, and can they scoop it up? Yes, a sliding catch out to the left by Jenkins, and his first reception of the day goes for a first down. Nicely done there. Pitch and catch, Benitez to Jenkins.
Yeah, he found the spot. He sat down and said, "All right, I'm at the sticks. Let's get it."
Looked a little more patient that time from Benitez in terms of that throw. He had a little bit more room to be able to kind of
Same kind of pressure that he was the first half.
I mean, we're not talking about a Trevor Lawrence-esque throw there either. It was a great play by Jenkins to get the ball off the ground. So, you know, still some work to be done there. Inside draw that we saw work a little bit. Great job by the offensive line to provide some push there. That kind of play, Matt, is something that, you know, it looked like Linden has it stopped for no gain and it turns into 4. That's the kind of thing that's a little disheartening, no, when you're out there?
Yeah, I mean, you thought that you did a great job, and now you're realizing, wow, with that effort, look at the result. I mean, you have to think about it then, and then the next tackle you go in for, you might have to say, oh, do I need to do something differently?
Yeah, you can't just be content, clearly, to hold him up. You know, you got to get a guy to the ground.
Yeah.
So from third and long into a couple of pretty decent gains, and the Cougs are inside Linden territory. Second down and 6 from the 46. Running play here for Benitez as he's got about a yard. Again, third and makeable.
Yeah, not drastic improvements in the gains, but everything has been about 7 or 8 yards past what it was in the first half on third down, which, I mean, that's an improvement that's going to be makeable.
And honestly, you're going to cut down. Well, I mean, I don't know that it would be possible for either team to be penalized more than they were in the first half for just, you know, procedural things. But if you can keep things in a positive direction, 4, 2, 3, 5, 4, 11, you know, I mean, like that's, you know, that gets grating on a team. As here's a little draw and a decent gain down to the 41. This is going to be 4th and probably inside a yard to go. Depending on it's about a full yard, but Montgomery's got to go here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the field position, this is not the end of the world if you don't get it, but really, you got to put the pressure on.
You know, you're torn in a situation like this between keeping the ball in the hands of your best player and potentially using him as a decoy of some kind.
Yep.
You know, and if you use him as a decoy and it doesn't work, you know, you're infinitely criticized. But they go under center for the first time all day. And Benitez will turn, and they hand to the Irish a first down and some more. And a good job by Montgomery.
Yeah, I like that play call.
Yeah.
I have not seen that set, and clearly with the line moving the way they are, they can definitely run that.
And look, I get it from a ease standpoint. You stay in shotgun all day and you do a lot of things at both the high school and the college level. To me, when you're under center, a lot more stuff opens up for you when you're under center. So they're going to stay with it here on first down. And same play, run it till they stop it. They can. Here's a play up the right sideline and tackled inside the 15-yard line. And
That in expecting some kind of trick play.
you know, I know that and they see it. So that's just unfortunate. But, you know, again, this is that was the 4th time that they ran that play. It's kind of like a first quarter mentality there almost, you know, like we're not used to doing this. And we'll see if they run this all the way down to the end of the 3rd. Clock was rolling and now it's stopped. And once the officials give the ready for play here, I think it's going to start. Yeah. The officials signaled for it to run the clock. Now they are. I think Montgomery could take this down to the end of the 3rd if they want, but it doesn't look like they're going to. 2nd down and about 11 for the Cougs. And again, they'll go to the deep back. And legs churning, getting it back down to 3rd and certainly makeable just outside the 10-yard line, as that will take us to the end of in this ball game is coming up as the Cougs are knocking on the door, trying to take the lead in this one. It's been interesting, if not fun, on opening night of high school football for the Cougs in 2021. 3-0 Linden as we head to the 4th. You're caught in the mire. It's the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience. Welcome back to Linden High School. Keith Glock, Matt Pogue live in the mire. 3rd down, and Benitez, he's got some running room. He is going to be inside the 10. He's looking for the goal line, and is he in? Would love to tell you, we can't see the official on that side. My guess is by the player's reaction. And was there a flag there? Yeah, there's a flag and a hold. Ugh.
Yep.
That is tough.
Finally moving in the right direction.
Ugh. So that'll bring it all the way back. out to the 20-yard line. Wow. Just when you thought things were heading in your own correct direction, that goes and happens.
Especially when the play calls have been working, but that kind of play call here is that's tough to do, though.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, we'll see. They take the time out, maybe draw something different up. Who knows? Not out of reach.
So it looks like we had a timeout there on the field. Just underway in quarter number 4. Montgomery looking to tie. Now, the one thing that we know for certain is that Alex Benitez has the leg to kick a field goal.
Yes.
From this distance.
Yes.
So I would say if you don't get a huge chunk of yardage here and get inside the 10-yard line, I think you got to kick and try to at least tie this game.
Do you run up the middle just to ensure if you get it, great, but if you don't, you're making it easier for him?
You know, honestly, I think you might run left because a right-footed kicker from these wide hashes,
right?
You know, the left hash is certainly the easier hash to kick from as a righty. But, you know, listen, kickers are, you know, not that Benitez is fickle in any kind of way, but kickers in general are fickle in terms of what they prefer. And I'm sitting here saying it's easier to kick from the left hash, and I'm sure there's kickers out there going, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You're right, because I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to talk from common sense here. I'm never a kicker in football. But, you know, from what I know, it's a little easier from the left hash. For a lot of reasons, if you can imagine yourself as a right-footed kicker kicking a field goal from that hash, it's a lot more open for you, you know, to be able to follow through. You don't have to hook the ball. There's a lot more room for error when you're on the left hash as a right-footed kicker. That said, who the heck knows?
I mean, it made sense, but I truly have no idea if you're right. So I'm going to say yes because I never kicked either. I've kicked, but not well.
So it's 3rd and 15. Benitez looking to throw, trying to set up a screen, and he is just mauled. And that was, boy, if there was something you really didn't want to do there, that was it, was lose any more yards. So a field goal from here would be about 42, and I think that's even pushing the limits of what Alex is capable of.
That's a big ask.
They're going to try it. And, yeah, it's going to be 42. We know he's got enough leg to make this happen. He's just inside the right hash. So he'll look to tie it. Good snap and a good hold, and it is blocked. Now, Linden... Now, I don't know what the high school rule is. Did Linden jump back on it anyhow? I was going to say if Linden had touched it back there and then Montgomery recovered it, there was a chance that was going to be Cougar ball. But in any event, a blocked kick by Linden keeps Montgomery off the scoreboard. And despite what you see in the bottom right-hand side, where it still says third quarter, it is certainly the fourth quarter. So time is becoming an issue.
I mean, again, not time to panic, though. Your defense has only allowed 3 points. You've been playing solid. You just need to get another stop. But the offense was moving the ball. Aside from that penalty, they really were, you know, in a good position to put some points up.
Yeah, wow. That's a pretty unfortunate. You go from 1st and goal from the 1 to trying a 42-yarder. And Linden was, I think, going to get hit with a delay of game penalty, so they burn another timeout. I believe that's their second of the second half. So, I mean, there's still an eternity of time.
Yeah, especially if you can get a 3 and out in some kind of reasonable amount of time. Like, there's a lot to work with, and the the way you've been moving the ball and you've been moving the ball on the ground, you're not really worried about giving them the ball back with time. You're just trying to focus on getting that drive and putting the points up.
The changes, I think, for each team have been subtle but effective in the second half. I mean, I don't really know that there hasn't been like a wholesale change in approach from either team, I don't think, aside from Montgomery going under center there for those 5 or 6 plays where they had a modicum of success. But it's not like they, are, trying to throw the ball down the field 25 yards on every play.
Yeah, but they're both going away from the pass a lot. They really are kind of dedicated to the run until they need to throw the ball.
Was either team throwing the ball at all in the first half?
No.
Right.
Even less. Even
right.
less.
And running play there. So that will be minimal gain for Linden.
Yeah, Linden's in no hurry.
No, and nor should they be. Second down and about 6. And another running play. Another good play by the defensive line, though. And the one thing that we have to say is that the effort has never waned.
No, that's not been the issue whatsoever.
So Montgomery needs a stop here to try to get off the field. And, that's the thing. It's like as disappointed as you can be in the last drive, in a game like this, you have to have a short memory. I mean, it's not like you're out of the game. You know what I mean?
I mean, one good play really changes all of this.
No doubt. A big play coming here from Linden. 3rd and about 5. Under 10 minutes to go in the game. Thomas looking, throwing all the way back to his left, and it is complete. And running back inside the first down marker. And now right at it. Let's see where they spot it. They're going to give him the first down. That was about as dangerous a decision from Eddie Charles as you could possibly imagine.
I mean, you got what you needed. Why get more? Just
oh, my goodness.
Take it, go down, run the clock. But
get that first down.
Wow, they're going to run a lot more off here.
Yeah, that was about as gutsy a play call there on 3rd and 5. And certainly the most successful pass play that we've seen out of Linden all night. So, their inventiveness is Montgomery's bad fortune. And it is what it is. So for another set of downs for the Tigers, and they will go back to the ground game. Looking to bounce it outside, and they're going to want to stay in bounds. They do that, but a good job by Montgomery to limit them to about a yard.
Yeah, they've been reading those, whatever this is, a zone read or the sweep or however they're on top of it. The problem is right now that tackle is, it's only helping them run the clock. Sometimes
in high school football, a lot of what you see is about our big guys versus your big guys. And, it feels like on both sides of the field, the defensive lines are having the better day. 8 or 9. And this will be to call him out of bounds right at about the midfield stripe. So a first down for Linden, and a good job by Taquan Thomas, who was the team's leading rusher a week ago. 8 carries for 80 yards and a 33-13 win over JFK Island. And Matt, that was about as big a gain as he's had all evening.
I mean, he found some room. He made a big play, but at the same time on the defensive end, you have to keep thinking that, yes, it was a big play, but if we get the stop that we need, we're still leaving our offense with hopefully 5 or 6 minutes left on the clock.
So we'll see what Linden does with it here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're going to keep it on the ground and keep this clock rolling, and they do just that. Inside handoff and a decent gainer for about 5.
Yeah, they're chipping away. That's tough.
This has typically been where both teams, somebody's going to come up with a false starter and a hold, or something here to slow down what has been probably a pretty consistent drive, as consistent a drive as anything that they've put together.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get too over aggressive either. I mean, you can't just try and let's make a big play right now, because that's exactly when they run that screen again, and
Right.
there's too much daylight.
And that's probably exactly where you want to be, too, for Linden, 2nd and 5, right? As it's going to be we're going to get stopped before we even get going. I don't know yet.
A do-over? Just a general
Just
do-over?
kidding. Nope. We're walking back in the other direction. My prophetic. I'm just listen. That was about as good as I've been right there in terms of prophesizing.
It was well timed.
Ain't no doubt about that, right?
Yeah. So how about we pick something else? Good. False starts are great, but
Can we get another holding penalty, please, to back him up? That'd be great. We can get back in this one.
Let's get a hold and a fumble. That'd be great.
I'll take that. So now it's back to 2nd down and 10 for the Tigers. Right at midfield to Quan Thomas. He's done a nice job here in the second half. They throw a screen back to the right. Montgomery's got it sniffed out. Just as good as a hold, and Montgomery feels even better about it as they're tackled back at their own 40-yard line. So you have the lottery numbers over there, baby, because we're pretty good after the last 2 plays.
I mean, I see what you did there, but that is a reach. That's
Listen.
10 yards. Oh, it's a hold. All right.
Listen,
I'll give you something.
if we hit the Powerball, baby, I mean,
you're right. If we
the
hit the Powerball, you're right on everything.
the MIRE production is going to go through the roof should we hit the Powerball.
Yeah, there's going to be more quality than you could ever handle.
We're gonna hire a couple people. I'm gonna show up and just put the stinking headset on for once in my life.
We're going to go with just kind of pick off the ACC network staff and bring them on over.
Now we're gonna go to TSN. We're gonna hire the Canadians. They're very hardworking.
They are very good.
Here's Thomas. He is not going to be able to get away. And how about that? Another sack puts them back at their own 32-yard line. So, I mean, that's a 23-yard change. You go from plus 45 to minus 32 in 3 plays. How about that for Montgomery to get back in this game?
And not a lot of time off the clock when it happened either, which is kind of interesting.
Plenty of time here for Montgomery to put something together. So a punting situation for Linden. As things coming undone, they can't quite get there. So the punt is away, and it looked like it bounced, and Linden celebrating like it hit somebody in Montgomery. And I can't tell, obviously, because Huddle Cam is not doing us any favors whatsoever. And I don't really know. Everybody's still talking about it looks like.
No signal.
The entire Linden sideline is there, and now they are going to say Linden ball? Yeah, Linden ball. Wow, that's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah.
Huddle Cam got us again, Matt.
There was something, though, on the 50. I think the wind was blowing a blade of grass somewhere that we got a good look at.
Coach Grundy, I hope you're watching this as the indication that Huddle Cam's not the way to go in our gymnasium. Just take my advice. I already sent you the link. Buy the camera. We'll find a kid. It's fine.
Oh, that's
I promise.
You've been working on it.
There'll be nothing. There'll be no missed fumbles behind the play. So Linden has new life offensively. That's about as unfortunate a situation as we could have. I was going to say as we could have seen. I would love to have seen it because we didn't see it.
It's the most unfortunate thing we didn't see.
That's certainly true. So clock rolling.
So is now the time? Is now the time to start sending the house? Is it? What
yeah. Yes. To your point from earlier, I do think this is now the time where you need to. If you've been hanging on to something, this is where you roll it out.
Yeah, if you haven't corner blitzed or something that they haven't seen, because if you can get that big play and catch them off guard.
Cougs looking for a turnover or certainly negative plays, as I can't believe they're going to do this. Oh, and Montgomery can't come up with the turnover, as it looked like it was dropped back there.
I don't know. He's
Are they saying yes?
He's looking confident about that.
Cougars are running off the field like they have it. There's another Montgomery player still standing over there pleading his case, and we still haven't seen any signal. There's a personal foul on Linden somewhere in this. So is Montgomery going to get this and then plus 15? Let's see. I mean, unless the personal foul occurred. Well, we're going to see what the officials do with the football here. Hold on. Montgomery's got the ball.
We're walking. Now we're walking.
And we're going that direction, right? Or is the defense still on the field, or is Benitez back on the field? It looks like all right, so they're going to call this an interception.
All right.
After a great deal of consternation by the officials, a turnover, and we can talk about what a confounding play call that was in that situation in just a second. Montgomery somehow is back to life. Benitez makes a man miss. He's off the left side, and he's got some running room. He's got a first down. He's out past the 45. I am going as fast as humanly possible right now. Linden is absolutely stunned with what just happened.
They are confused. Their defense is still thinking about the last play.
And they used 2 timeouts already. I don't even know that they can afford to call one, because you might need it.
You are definitely going to need it after this.
3:48 to go. And they're going to mark Benitez out at the 42. I'm going.
I don't know.
I don't know what the heck.
All right, so they got to pick up the tempo, but they're moving. There we go. No huddle.
That's the way to go here. Cougars second down as we're ticking down under 3:30. Shotgun play. And a throw out to the left, and nearly caught. But that was not Benitez.
No.
Obviously, as you can see, I would love to tell you who it was. We're about as far away as humanly possible from the play.
Looks like Benitez was out wide at the bottom.
Yeah. So third down. That was and to our point from earlier, if you have something you were saving, that was the part you were hoping to catch them off guard there, and it nearly worked. Third down and 5, certainly 4-down territory for the Cougs. And Linden ready for it there as the inside draw is stuffed, as that was Benitez who took the handoff, and he's dropped for about a loss of 2. So this essentially is the ball game for Montgomery. As the clock is under 3 minutes, it's 4th down and 6, and Montgomery has to keep the sticks moving. So we'll see.
Timeout here.
And it's got to be Linden. I think is calling that timeout to make sure that they get it right. I don't.
First down.
Yeah, you can't screw that up there.
Asking for trouble.
So, long for the Cougars offensively. A 75-yard run by Alex Benitez right before the half. And that was about it in terms of positivity for the first half. And, it seemed like every time it was 2 steps forward and 1 step back here. There's a couple of costly turnovers. Oaks on their own 46-yard line. And it's Garrett Probaka looking to throw, rolling to his left, and he's going to be short. And did that get stopped before it got started, or is there? I don't know what. Did they say Montgomery called a timeout potentially, or no? No, it doesn't look like it. No, and that's going to be a turnover on downs. And apologies for the confusion on all this, but the hand signals from the officials on this game have not done us a ton of favors. And not being physically in the stadium makes it difficult because we can't hear whistles and all that goodness. So Montgomery stuffed on 4th down. And now with 2:38 to go, you'd have to think for Linden it's just a matter of time to keep the chains rolling. And, you know, they rip off 9 yards on 1st down. And I don't think you call timeout there yet. You know, I think
You're going to get the clock stoppage if there's a first down.
right. I think you probably let them run probably 2 more plays. And, you know, you hope that maybe they get a first. If you stop them here, obviously you're going to call a timeout if they don't get a first. But I think, you know, in some ways you're hoping they quickly get a first down, and then maybe you can stop them, and then you can get a timeout, and then force something, you know, maybe to get the ball back quickly with maybe, you know, a minute to go. But they do get a stop, and a big one at that, a negative play on 2nd and a yard, and now Montgomery will use a timeout wisely, as now this is a, you know, man, Linden, I guess just as much as Montgomery has not helped itself out,
No.
you know, in terms of critical moment, not only outcomes but play calls. I'm still shocked at that decision to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
You know, wow, that's
Even just the most recent play, that now makes you have the most difficult play call instead of all right, a neutral play or we lost 1 yard, but to be dragged that far back, like what do you call here? You don't want to throw the ball, you don't want to stop the clock, but you know it's 3rd and 10 now.
now look. We're not comparing guys to other guys. I'm just like the situation I think people can relate to, right? I mean, Eddie Charles, we've seen him today, you know, even though he's a smaller guy, he's had some burst and found some success, guy, and said, hey, you know, innovation is sometimes your enemy in situations like this, and that's a tough thing. So here it is, 3rd and 7, $1:45 to go in the game, and they're again going to throw. Thomas is going to get out on the edge. He's going to have the first down. Oh man, and he's going to end up scoring. Taquan Thomas from 35 yards out, he walks into the end zone, and maybe that's what they were trying to draw up the last time they ran that play. And this time, you know, I think the difference is they ran it to the wide side of the field.
You've been running up the middle for a while. You've been trying to pound it, and then you catch them trying to overcommit, and you know outside's open.
And he just had so much real estate to work with there, whereas I think the last time they ran it from the near hash, and, you know, it's just, you know, the amount of space that he had on the play of the interception just maybe forced that decision, and this one was, you know, hey, just turn on the afterburners, and just like that, 9-0 Linden with the point pending. And did we not have that?
I thought that was a touchdown.
Did we have a hold? All right, so now I'm thoroughly confused because we didn't get, again, decent signals. All right, forget everything I just said. We're back in it. New life. 3-0 Linden. Had to be a hold somewhere down the field, completely unnecessarily, obviously, and a big stop by Montgomery with 1:29 to go. So Cougs burning, I believe, their final time out.
Yeah, now it's hold the ball carrier, try and rip. That's all you can do.
All right, so let's play this forward. So number one, I had no idea there was even a flag on the play.
I did not see a flag.
It didn't seem as, and the foul had to occur at the 25-yard or at the 15-yard line, right? Because you're marching that baby back 10 from the spot of the foul.
Yeah.
So that play occurred from the 25. So the foul on the what we thought was a touchdown occurred somewhere at the 15-yard line. I don't know that it was relevant to the play. Maybe it was. We'd have to go back and look at it. It took 6 off the board for Linden, gave Montgomery new life, and whatever small amount of life they're clinging to here, as it's second down. But if there's hope somewhere along the line. We've seen insaner things happen so far in this game.
The fumble right here changes everything.
So Cougs certainly unhappy with the offensive performance this evening, but doing the best that they can here to stave off defeat, but a very uphill climb. And I guess as we're looking at this second down, 25-50, I guess they're saying that even if they turned it over, so that's going to be now 25 from there. That'll get us to a minute. So now third down will take us to 35. Fourth down will take us to 10. So Montgomery would get it back potentially with like 6 seconds to go, and you'd need a Benitez 60-yarder.
All right. So, we're due.
And are they going to say they're just going to take it? They're not going to take it to the game, are they?
They go. I don't know. Do you kneel it, get the fourth, and then delay game?
Well, how long did it take the officials to reset the play? So you took another knee there with 44. And we just stopped. Did Linden just call timeout? What in the world is happening right now? Are we living in fantasy land?
What is there to talk over?
First off, I don't understand, because I didn't think that Montgomery had any timeouts. It looked like the official pointed to the Linden sideline, did it not?
Yes.
The Linden side of the field got pointed to there to call a timeout. So Linden voluntarily stopping the clock to set up a third down play with 44 seconds to go. They already just took a couple of knees, right? So now you'd have to think that if you were going to take another knee on third down here.
Yeah, run it down.
But that'll take you to
19.
But you still got to run another play.
Yeah.
I was an English major, but the math doesn't work here. I have been. I hope to God that we're right here in our confusion, because if it's so obvious and I'm missing whatever is happening, it's either that, it's probably more likely that we're just like not really aware of what the heck is going on here. Because did they have that's a third down at the top of the screen, right?
Yeah.
That's a third. Okay, we're not crazy. Somebody gonna what just happened? Yeah, you got to go get him now. Now the clock operator didn't start the clock.
So that's a benefit.
That was
too.
a benefit.
All right.
Now, and Montgomery had to go get him. That was actually a smart job by the Linden quarterback.
Yeah.
But now, when is the official setting this thing ready for play? Are they going to say that that's it? No way.
That's not
no way.
That's not how that works.
No way. Wow. No way. I can't. They're going to let this clock expire because he didn't set the clock ready for play within that amount of time. Wow. On a kneeling play where you have to just spot the ball and spot it ready for play, you couldn't do that in what that would have been 9 seconds. It took 9 seconds to spot the ball on a kneel down and signal it ready for play to get the 25-second play clock going. Now look, I'm not saying that we're on the 1 yard line here. Okay, it would have taken another miracle, and Montgomery had 47 other minutes in this game to score a point, and they didn't do it, right? So I get it. But that.
Where's your shot? You get your shot.
I mean, that. I am so remarkably confused. This game ends 3-0 Linden. I don't know.
I'm confused.
I was confused about so much that just happened right there.
Yeah.
We had and look, Linden just won this game here. Okay, so I'm not. They did enough to win this game, and those kids should absolutely be commended. Now, the way that it ended up happening is beyond me. Bananas. I don't get it. I'm going to need to seek outside counsel, and then we're going to circle back to this either on the pod this week, which I don't know if we're going to have a Muck and Mire pod this week unless you and Brando do it together because I'm going to be in Atlanta. So, but we're going to get back to all of this, of what I feel was a major weird ending that I can't quite explain.
The NFHS clock, maybe that's out of sync and that's throwing us off.
But it can't be. They have to be getting that clock information from the scoreboard.
Yeah.
There is. I'm sorry. There's no way that on a kneel down that should have taken 9 seconds to accomplish that.
No.
It's just not a thing. It's not a thing. I mean, whatever. So in any event, this has been a production of the Mire. It's the sole property of the Montgomery Internet Radio Experience, and every broadcast, retransmission, or account of this game without the express consent of the Mire is strictly prohibited. One of the most bizarre beginnings to a football season that I can recall in a long time. Linden 3, Montgomery nothing. Does it get any weirder? Turnovers, timeouts, non-touchdowns, touchdowns.
I mean, it keeps you wanting more.
You wanted more of that?
Not of that game, but of another one. But I don't get it.
Color us confused. All right, which I know
that's not hard to do.
I was going to say there are people out there that say that you live in a perpetual state of confusion.
That's not hard to do.
It's fair. Listen, enjoy week 3 of college football. Enjoy week 1 of the NFL. I will be doing it, watching the Falcons beat the Doves this weekend down in the ATL. And we'll be back with you next week. We have some new content coming for you in Muck and Mire Pod. And we'll be back with football next weekend. Linden 3, Montgomery nothing, I think. Unless they change it.
We got to check NJ.com or something. Maybe there's an update.
He's Matt Pogue. I'm Keith Glock. Thanks for watching.